السلام عليكم طلاب، هذا الفيديو الثامن لمادة الرواية قسم اللغة الإنجليزية الصف الثالث كلية اللغات. And we reached chapter 7 and the title is Mrs. Sparse. We need to ask ourselves these two questions while reading the chapter. Who is Mrs. Sparse and what are the intentions of Mr. Vanderby toward Louisa and Tom? We understand that Mrs. Sparse is an upper-class lady whose wealthy husband died, leaving her penniless. Though her husband was a Powler, the name of his family, her family name was Scadgers. These two families were rich from upper class, but when her husband died, he did not leave anything for her or any money, and she couldn't inherit anything because he spent all his money when he was alive. So she kept the arrogant touch, but she had to work to provide for herself. So she's not so gorgeous, she's not beautiful, and she is haughty in her boasting about her prior life and her husband's family. It means that she was so proud of herself, thinking that she is superior to other people, even though she works as a housekeeper now in Mr. Vanderbay's house. She must work as a housekeeper in Mr. Vanderbay's home to provide for herself because there is no one who can help her except for herself. And basically, this chapter talks about some kind of information, how she is described, her physical feature, and how she looks upon people from a superior look. She is not taking her job as a housekeeper seriously because she thinks that she is better than her job. She has a kind of implied intention to marry Mr. Vanderby because she thinks that she will regain her previous status. We also know or understand in this chapter that Sissy informs Mr. Gradgrind that she used to read fairy tales and books about genies to her father, which irritated Mr. Gradgrind because these books are useless for him and teach nothing since they don't teach facts. So it means that Sissy did did have the habit of reading for her father, but to Mr. Gradgrind it was useless because the books she used to read, they weren't about facts, and that's why he rejected her books and what she was reading to her father. Mr. Bowderby informs also Mrs. Sparsit of his intention to hire Tom to work in his bank, not because he likes Tom, but because for the sake of his sister Lucy, because he calls her his pussy. It means that, or little pussy, because he likes, or we understand that he likes Louisa. His intention uh, is to marry her, and that's why he is making her brother work with him in the bank for her own sake. This is chapter 6. Chapter 7, and now we move to chapter 8. And the title of chapter 8 is Never Wonder. We also need to ask ourselves these two questions. How do Tom and Louisa feel about their lives and education? How can you describe the brother-sister relationship? So Mr. Gradgrind instructs his daughter to refrain from wondering, as it is associated with imagination and fancy rather than knowledge and facts. One day he heard his daughter saying, "I wonder," and then he stopped her when he listened to the word wonder and asked her not to use this word again, because wonder means imagination, means she's using her emotions more than brain. And that's how he is strict, that even he does not allow his children to use certain phrases if they are connected to fancy and imagination. So Tom, fed up, he did not like his life, and that's why he confides in Louisa about his frustration with the strict and factual life their father has imposed on them. He believes he is unsuccessful and hopes to break free from these rules in the future. Tom relies on Bounderby's compassion towards Louisa to help him secure a job in Bounderby's bank. So Tom understands that Bounderby has a kind of affection toward Louisa, and he intends to use that regardless of how Louisa feels about Mr. Bounderby. He is being selfish and trying to sacrifice the life of his sister for his own sake. Unfortunately, Tom is willing to sacrifice his sister's well-being to achieve his own goals, which means to break free from the prison of Mr. Gradgrind. Louisa also is willing to do anything for him. So the sister-brother bond between them is so strong, but he is selfish and she is sacrificing. That's why the life between them is going to be based on this kind of relation that Louisa sacrifices for her own brother. وبهذا خلصنا chapterين من hard times للصف الثالث، مادة الرواية قسم اللغة الإنجليزية كلية اللغات. شكرا جزيلا.